And we are live. Mic check, mic check. That looks pretty good. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to episode 122 of the Saturday Morning Stand Up, where we talk Splinterlands. What's been going on, what you've been up to, what's been going on in game, what's been going on in Discord the last couple days. Wow. I just kind of caught that out of the side of my eye yesterday, what happened in Discord, and then again today. So that should tell us all to be very on the tip of your toes for scams and phishing type of opportunities where you can get taken. So in case everybody didn't know, Dave and then Royal Eagles accounts got taken over, and who knows what's going to happen in Discord. And then a bunch of phishing type messages went out to the effect of that there was an SPS airdrop happening, and they spammed them across. One thing we've proven in this game is most of the time the team, if there was something big like an airdrop or something like that happening, then the team would give us plenty of forewarning, allowing us to get prepared and stuff for that kind of thing. And first of all, they would just like put one message out in the announcements. They wouldn't put like 175 spams across the channel. So be very careful. And this applies to anything in crypto as well as just regular life. Don't click on it. But good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you happen to be in this fine world. Thanks for dropping by and talking a little bit of Splinterlands with me today. That's right, 122 Saturdays worth of Splinterlands talk leading up today. So I appreciate you dropping by. Let's jump into chat and see who is in chat. Arbin's here, says have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Well, thanks for dropping by, Arbin, and I hope you have a good weekend as well. It's pretty sunny here. On the warm side, I'll be out in the yard doing some tasks after the show here. Crypto Beaver says good morning. The Beaver has been adding a few Archons to their deck. Been playing the new improved survival mode, hoping we can get to the craft revival potions too. Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised on two folds. I was pleasantly surprised at the fact that now you can play survival, and if your cards are on cooldown, they're just on cooldown in survival. You can go ahead and play them in wild or modern as well. So, and on the flip side of that, if you use the Archmage bot, they have a new mode that you can switch on that will alternatively play both wild and survival, depending upon how you make the settings there. So I've switched that on. I haven't seen any play because I haven't been depleted on energy. Basically, it depletes your energy in wild, and then it switches over to survival. So I don't have anything to report on that. I did switch it on, but I haven't seen any survival play yet from it because I haven't been drained of energy. I do need to go ahead and deplete that. Usually the last few days of the season, I go ahead and ramp up my play a little bit as far as 2 times per hour instead of 1 times, deplete my energy, and then it should kick into survival. I like that idea that they made it so that if you played in survival, your cards weren't sitting out all the way across. So I did like that change. Pleasantly surprised. Gathering the Magics here, welcome, says good morning to all. Frontier mode is all I am playing now. The ability to sell cards to get DEC for the ones I want is so awesome. Nice. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good discussion about Frontier mode. I have not been dabbling in it this week due to some personal issues, legal type issues this week. So I've had some other things taking up my time, so I've not been able to play. I wanted to do an episode where I jumped into Frontier mode and started playing, but I have some people on my Discord channel that were discussing it and talking about. And in fact, I even jumped in and I bought a couple. I bought a couple legendaries just because they were cheap. I'm guessing, why is this not refreshing? I'm guessing they're cheap because they're not good cards, but But they were too cheap to pass up. So I bought some Little Sisters and some Great Bear Druids. They were just like 4 or 5 cents. So I'm like, why not just pick some up? So I do need to go ahead and jump into Frontier mode further. But I just haven't had time lately. So I've heard some good things about it, though. I've heard some people being very kind of frustrated. We get the same kind of effect like we used to in bronze, lower bronze, where like everybody's got the same cards. You know, it used to be Chaos Legion. Everybody had the same cards in Chaos Legion, limited to bronze level, and then everybody was hitting basically the same teams. I'm basically hearing that same kind of thing. So it is what it is. I like the whole setup with the foundations and Frontier mode, so I'm all for that. So. Okay. Let's jump back into chat. Gathering goes on to say, it has made my $10 accounts infinitely sustainable now. Nice. Yeah. It's kind of hard for those lower end accounts to kind of squeak a little bit of profit out here and there, right? So Power Daz is in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Says, hey. Gathering goes on to say, land cards soon, hopefully. That's what I'm waiting for. Sounds like Cryptomancer is making progress. Nice. I haven't heard anything out of him lately. However, I am saving up. Do I need to do a claim? I've got a few days, but I'm saving up my my aura. So I've got a decent amount of aura saved up. I'm still producing that. Not a lot of it, but I'm looking forward to making some land cards. I did watch Gatherings, I think it was Gatherings episode this last week, where he talked about the the price, the profit you can get out of the various items that you can make out of using aura. And how the wagon repair kits seem to be the most versus like the midnight potions and such. So it's interesting. I want to get some of those land cards, so I'm saving up for those. Lady Sharon's in the house. Welcome, Sharon. Thanks for dropping by. Says, good morning. Even though I know what people want to talk about, I have other questions. Well, yeah, one thing Lady Sharon always has is questions. That's a good thing, though. It means you're learning, right? Joffrey Jones is in house. Wow, Joffrey loves the Frontier game. Finally, cards we can earn and sell. Usually, Joffrey has like an off-sided comment, kind of salty a little bit. But Joffrey coming in with the love for Frontier mode. Thanks for dropping by. Sharon says, first, keeping in mind, I just have the one land plot. What is better, trade or market? How does each one work? I would, let's go back here. If you go into the trade hub, what you can do is you're making food, you're making grain. So you can go in here and you can select grain and then select whatever region you've got that grain in. And then you can just sell it for DEC. That's what I'd say. Now, what the exchange is for is so I'll give you an example. The best thing I can do is give you an example. So in one of my properties, let's see here. Let's go into production. So in this region, I am making aura, but you can see that I don't have any stone producing lands here. And aura takes a little bit of everything to make on a weekly basis when I do my claim. So I have wood, I have grain, I have iron to go ahead and make my aura, but I don't have stone. So what I do is I come, let's go back into Trade Hub. What I do is I go and I take grain, and then I click stone and then select the region I want to do it in. And then say, for instance, I need 5,000 stone to do my claim that week for my aura. Then I'll put 5,000 in here and then I'll trade whatever grain it costs me. Okay. This is the example of trading resources. Okay, in your case, what you would probably want to do is just get after you get a little bit of a surplus, whatever you want to keep as a cushion for your grain in that one land. You could go ahead and put grain here, select, and then select DEC, and then you could say, okay, I'm going to sell 10,000 grain, and you would get 80 DEC or whatever you wanted to sell, right? Consider what you want to keep as a cushion just in case you need it, right? And then you could just start selling off a little bit at a time and make you some DEC. And then you could turn around and use that DEC for other things, like buying yourself an extra card once in a while. Or you could do it where you save up the DEC and then you improve. A lot of people will take and slowly sell off a little bit of grain. And then you have DEC to stake on that land. So when you put another card on it or something or other, and it improves the production power of it, you have extra DEC to go ahead and stake to go ahead and bring that production power online. So there's a lot of things you can do with it, but that's the difference between just selling your grain and actually trading it for something else you may need. Okay. Emmy Wante is here, stopping by while doing a Frontier Daily. Nice. Supreme Victory Studios in the house. Hey, hey, hey. Lady Sharon says, in the case of Frontier mode, I think I win once every 7 times, so I may need some tips there. It's actually very frustrating, and the cards I've gotten, I've just been duplicates of what I have. In the past, just considering kind of relatively comparing it to, other situations I've been in, like Bronze with Chaos Legion and stuff, it's just having all of your different archons available and knowing what's stronger against other archons, seeing what the other archons your opponent is playing, most likely to play, what they've played the last few matches, right? And kind of taking a guess by what the rules of the actual match are, what's going to be played, right? So if it's a non-magic, if it's a mode where there's no magic allowed, there's not going to be a magic-based summoner used, right? So that kind of thing. There's a lot into it, right? But just kind of using logic and having a lot of different summoners at your disposal, and obviously something else comes down to what is the strongest in this set, in the Frontier set, because people are going to play the strongest combinations the most, right? And then turning around and learning that, maybe using that against them, right? Using that if they're spamming something over and over and over again, what works best or what will counteract that the best, right? She says, except for the 1 gold card, which I haven't sold or tried to sell, maybe I'll go back to that. Gathering says, Death Splinter is the best choice in Frontier at Bronze. 11J's in the house. Hey, welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Paul Taylor's here as well. Thanks for dropping by, Paul. Lady Sharon says, at Gathering, unfortunately, yes. Even though you might find me weird, I refuse to play friends, so I can't play the Death Splinter in that. Well, you're severely limiting yourself. If you have, I know I had sent you a nice Death Archon to get yourself started off, and you refuse to play it. If you're handcuffing yourself that way, that's your choice, right? But the name of the game is finding out what's strong, using it, and finding out if people are spamming the strongest stuff, how to counteract that. What's the best use case against that, especially in the different game modes, right? So let's see here. Fiends. She said fiends instead of friends. Wibble's here. Thanks for dropping by. Late with the Wii. Joffrey says, you got to put some money in and level your summoners. Your gold card is irrelevant if your summoner is not leveled. Sharon says, yes, I was thinking about doing that, just trading for DEC and using it to up production until I'm full. But what does the market do if is there any difference? Uh, well, the market basically is for those people. This screen is basically to show you a top-down perspective of what you've earned if you have anything in liquidity pools. Okay, so without getting too deep into this and confusing some people, a liquidity pool is you can invest, kind of like in the stock market, into a liquidity pool, a certain amount of DEC and a certain amount of a mineral or a material, right? And that goes into the pool, and people use that. So when they're trading around things, wood, for, like I was just telling you, trading grain for stone, like I do in a lot of cases. That's where those materials come out of in the grain. It puts the food, it puts the grain into the liquidity pool, and it takes out stone, right? So there's these big banks of these items or this material saved up, and you can invest in this and then earn a certain amount off of that. Okay. And then you can see I have a very small amount of grain put in, and you can see what I've earned off of it. Very minimal. So you can invest in the liquidity pools. I don't have a lot in it. I think at this point, with just your one land, you're better off just, selling a little bit of grain here and there and getting yourself some DEC out of it. Turn around and do whatever you want with it, right? Doombots here says Frontier needs a few more cards. It can be very RNG and so few choices in some rule sets. Yeah, I've been hearing that. A lot of people have been, you run up against the same thing over and over again. Let's go to market and let's clear and let's just look at the foundations. So how many common cards are there? We just need regular foil. So we got 6, 1, 3. So there's 18. There's 18 commons. It's 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 or 18 rares. I don't know if there's an extra one there that is not on the market. We have 6, probably 12, 11 or 12 epics. And it's showing 6, 7 legendaries here. I don't know if that's all of them, though. So, yeah, a relatively small set. But yeah, a certain amount of those, back to Sharon's point, a certain amount of these are going to rise to the top, the cream of the crop, so to speak, and they're going to just be played over and over. The trick is kind of figuring out what people are spamming and see if you can put together a good hand against that and use it against them. Man, this looks like a Joe Camel from the Camel ads back in the 80s. Yeah, my mind went off on a tangent when I saw that. Yeah, coming up with that, and then, like I said, having a good array of teams to field, depending upon the rule set. But, it's kind of, back in the day, back when I first started, you also saw this as well. You saw some of the same teams over and over. What about Lomicron? Who got tired of Lomicron? I never had enough money to have a Lomicron. Once in a while I would rent it, but to me it never really ended up being as good. Lomicron was like one of those, to me it was like a broken combination where it just trampled everybody. Gathering says Frontier just came out, but I'm sure they will have more cards eventually, but not this year. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this just came out. I mean, they've always shown that they look at people's comments and see what people are thinking about it, and they may find other ways to work in some extra cards along the way into Frontier mode. Who knows? They're always adding things to the game, so One thing that I like about the game is the fact that the team's always listening to what people are saying, and they're always willing to make certain changes if it's deemed that needs to be changed, So they've also, lately, or in the last year or so, they've also put out a ton of extra type cards that you can get in one way or another, buying this way, burning this way, things of this nature. So I wouldn't overly worry about it. I'm sure that they're looking at it and playing it, and just like we all would if we were on a team that was on a certain project and trying to use the learned lessons to improve the product. But I got to say that from the big picture, this is really aimed at newer people coming into the game. So if you've got maybe the whole everybody at this point is pretty much playing frontier mode, and then you're coming in and you're playing against people with a lot more skill than you, it might be pretty frustrating, So it's my thought that over time, everybody's playing it right now. And I guess it just depends upon how valuable the items you get out of the play are, would be how long people will actually, people who've been playing for years will actually keep playing frontier mode. If it continues to be exciting, it continues to have good profit out of it, you continue to be able to draw cards and win cards and turn around and sell them on the market, it'll continue to be popular, and the new players coming into the game will continue to be playing, against people who've been playing for years. Yes, you have access to the same set, but people who've been playing for years have a little bit of skill or a lot of skill on you and decision-making process that you've learned over time. So I like where it's at. I love the addition to the game. I think it's brought the game a step forward as far as integrating new people into the game. So we can just cross our fingers and, like I said, keep that feedback coming to the team because they're always changing things. So. Lady Sharon says, Joffrey, the gold card is a summoner. Archon, the green one, I like her, so I use her, but I managed to level up the legendary, and I can't use him with her because apparently she still needs to be a higher level. Yeah, if you go into... Let's look at Archons. The Archons dictate how high of other cards you can play. Well, let's reset. Let's go to Foundations, and let's go to Archons. The chief usage of an Archon, other than that little power they give to your cards, is the fact that if you look at the stats, it will tell you exactly what level other cards you can play. So if you got, let's go back to items. Well, let's go to market because I don't have a lot of those. You have this gold foil Arella, and she at level... the first 1 BCX or one copy of this card will give +1 health, but it starts at level 2. Okay, so with her, you are able to cast up to a level 3 common, a level 2 rare, a level 2 epic, and a level 1 legendary. So the benefit behind everything's built on your summoners or your / archons, right? Everything's it all stems from that, because you can have a max level other card, but if you're playing a level 2 archon, it's only going to play, say for instance it's a rare. If you could have a max level rare, but if you're playing it with a level 2 archon, it's only going to play it at level 2. So there's the benefit behind, actually advancing the levels of your card. Also, this brings to mind something else that came up this past week that probably is going to have a little bit of fire under the skillet, so to speak, is the proposal that is in draft mode now, which interestingly enough is now shifted over to 4. It was pretty strongly against, but now the 4s for this have come through, so we still have 3 days left. So for those of you who have been around for a while, you remember when we used to have leagues, right? They were taken out because they were deemed bad, quote unquote, for the game. You used to be able to, like I used to, at that point in time, I was playing in silver. This is several years ago. I liked the point that I could by my level, I could level up my summoners / archons to level 4, and then the rest of my cards I could work on, and I could play safely within silver, probably winning about 50% of what my matches were. I was playing against very similar kind of decks, but I didn't have to worry about playing diamond decks or something like that, right? So there's a lot of thought process behind this. Some people very firmly for, some people very firmly against. I would say that it would behoove you to go ahead and hey, I have some pending rewards now. So kind of getting off the stream of thought. For those that are new to the game, if you want to earn a little bit extra and you have something that you think is a good topic to write a little article on, you could go over here to Peak D and write an article and post it on Splinterlands, the Splinterlands topic. And people can actually vote on your, basically give you a thumbs up and actually donate some Hive to you for saying, hey, good job, right? So I had posted a video this last week, and I kind of cross-posted with a small article on Hive, and a bunch of people voted on it. So thank you very much if you did. Let's go ahead and reload now. But back to my main topic, is that I would go ahead and read this article, because the main thing is back in that day when we had the limits on leagues, we were still getting DEC payout, and it was being abused, right? So I'm not going to dig in real deep. At this point, that's removed, right? So read through the article and go and vote your mind. Like I said, this is still in draft proposal mode. And like I said, I am for it. I think it's my thinking that it got removed because, well, the company Splinterlands makes money off selling cards, so they benefit strongly from having people sell more cards to people. And if you were able to sit within a certain level, you got up to silver and you were happy with it, then you weren't buying any more cards once you got your cards maxed out. That's still a fair amount of cards to buy if you've got a max level silver deck, though. Of course, people at the top end would argue with me, and they don't like that idea. But I'm not a rich man, so I like the idea of being able to pick out the league and fight in it. Either way, go read and vote your mind. Like I said, once again, if you have SPS staked in the game, you can go and vote on these. So that's another thing that occurred this week that has been bringing up a lot of attention. Okay, let's see what else is going on in chat. Emmy1T says, level 3 rare summoner to play level 2 legendary monster. Yep, we just looked that up. Hey, KGM Jam's in the house. Welcome, KGM. Haven't talked to you in a while. What's up? What's going on? Power Daz says, I'm not sure what's the strongest combo, but I did discover an Elf Execution Bloodline combo. That sounds pretty sweet. Gathering did a total count. I figured he would chime in because he's got the scoop on that. He says 53 total cards in Frontier. Pretty relatively small set. Joffrey says, I'm up to silver 3 finally in Frontier. That can be a slog. Nice. Getting out of bronze. Yeah, I think that we can all commiserate, because even back in the day, you know, it was, you know, you hear everybody talking about trying to get out of bronze, right? Joffrey goes on to say fire is pretty decent and cheap to level. Let's look at fire for a minute while we're talking about other things. Foundations and fire, very beginning. The legendary is kind of looks like a giraffe with those spots, but it's a salamander. Agniavan Salamander. Okay, you can make fun of me. Is the legendary, which, man, the gold foil is commanding $39 for a foundation card. That's nice. Yeah, it's got blast. It's got a little bit of shield, a little bit of health, and pretty decent speed, but only 1 damage ranged. This looks pretty nice. Echelon Rodention. It's got 1 damage, but it's got opportunity. Okay, I got off track there. Let's see here. What does the Archon give? Okay, the Archon gives +1 speed. I've always liked +1 speed. Extra speed is always good. When you're playing a rule set where it's not kind of set, like no range, no magic, no melee, that kind of thing, then extra speed always helps, right? Except for in reverse speed match. Emmy1T says, I think fire is gimped a bit because they didn't +1 melee some of the leveled cards. So you don't think +1 speed is strong enough to carry it. Joffrey goes on to say, you got to go hard in Frontier for those black and gold arcane raffles coming up. Good thought. Good thought. Joffrey goes on to say, agreed with Emmy, but the 6 speed, 5 mana non-attacker. I'm looking for that. Oh, this guy. Cannot be weapons trained, though. He's got dodge, but no weapons training. So what are you going to do with him? What are you going to attack with him? Oh, I mean, no, not attack, but tank with him. +25 chance to evade physical attacks. So yeah, that would put him up to 5 speed. Joffrey agrees with Lady Sharon, says that she should sell the card. I've heard people talk about this. Generally speaking, I know there are some, especially with epics and legendaries, there are some exceptions to the rule. But generally speaking, these cards start high when the relatively new set is out, and then over time, when we get more and more into the ecosystem, then the price just starts going down. I mean, I can point out a lot of different cards that I paid a lot of money for, and they're going for cents on the dollar right now. So basically, people are just saying, get a little bit of profit while you can. And yeah, Joffrey goes on to say, price will only go down on a free card. Yeah, price will only, I don't want to say price will only go down on any card. But the two main things I've seen are a lot of cases where a card comes out and it's cheap and there's very little liquidity on the market. The prices are high. And then as time goes along, when people find out certain cards rise to the top as far as play value, their costs go up, and obviously collectible value, black foils, arcane, stuff like that. So in this case, I think it's more liquidity, like you were, like we were talking about. But, I haven't sold a lot of cards. I wish I've sold more cards, but I haven't sold a lot of cards. I just like getting them. Okay, speaking of that, you know what it is? It is time to open my weekly pack. So let's go buy a pack. Let's buy that alchemy pack. I put some credits in here to buy a pack. So cross your fingers for me. I got to make sure I've got the right potions. I've got plenty of other potions, but I need to make sure I've got the black foil potions. Thanks, everybody, for dropping by. Appreciate the good conversation. Hey, I got a mage wagon. Let's go and open. Yep, I've got some black foil potions. I think some people have been sending to me. Sorry, I didn't write down the names, but I appreciate those people sending me a few black foil midnight potions. I call them black foil potions along the way. I appreciate it. Okay, here we go. One alchemy pack. See what happens. Cross my fingers. Okay, it's a standard pack. Oh well, I guess you got to have standard packs once in a while, right? I got him in black foil. Fenmore Platypus is my rare. And my gold foil is Bristleborn Brigand. I've got a black foil of him or her too. That's a her, I believe. Okay, with that said, let's go to conflicts. Since I just got an extra wagon. Let's see here. I've got 791 chances so far. And, oh, they changed around conflicts. Or they changed around the way the wagon screen looks. I haven't been in here this week. So let's go ahead and... Okay, so I'm at 137,650 an hour. Let's autofill. See if it goes up a little bit. Yeah, up a little bit. Up like 3,000, 2,500. It went up about 2,500. Yeah, that's okay. It's just, I love this button. Whoever made it, cheers. I love this button. You no longer have to manually do it. So every week I can buy my pack and then I can just come back here and click that autofill button and it autofills my wagons with the highest cards I have to get me points, right? So love it. Okay. Let's go back to chat, see what everybody's up to. I bought my pack this week. Last week's was okay. 2 weeks before that, the 2 week preceding weeks, I had good draws on my packs. So, I got to have like an average pack once in a while, right? So, I love opening packs. I just have to what's the word for just like moderate myself, not spend too much money on packs, right? Okay, let's see what everybody's saying. Lady Sharon says, okay, I'm about 2 minutes behind and I somehow missed where to look for that chart. I found a chart online, but I missed that was in game. I don't remember what chart we're talking about. Of course, Wibble's got to throw in a Win Beaver. It will be great when they finally bring a Beaver card to the... It should be a legendary at this point, right, Wibble? Should be a legendary Beaver. Lady Sharon says, using Kayla and the Elf Bloodline is my favorite in Modern. Wibble says, 28 spellbooks sold yesterday. Let's check out. See my ambassador status. So I've got 73 referrals with 13 spellbooks. And Power Daz, who's in the chat, was the last person to sign up with mine. So I need to do another Splinterlands video this week, but I just have been busy with personal type stuff this week. I also need to get in there and play some Frontier mode. That's what my video is going to be about. Let's see here. Gathering says, I voted yes. We need to be able to pick the league our decks are at. If you are out-leveled, then why would you want to play in a lower level league and get less rewards? Over-leveled should be capped. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing at silver level, there's going to be a max depending upon the cards you can spend, max level Archon 4, etc. But the other thought process I had, the other thing that came up in my head, because we can see that I turned off the bot whenever, I try to remember to turn off the Archmage bot whenever I'm having this show so it doesn't randomly kick in. But I, as a player who have Archmage play my account in Wild, there's got to be a certain level in there that it's not going to be worth it to play in Wild and pay that season pass. So in other words, Silver, it would not pay for me to play in Wild and play in Silver and pay that season pass. See what I mean? It's probably going to have to be up in gold or diamond, right, to be worth even paying that season pass. For those that are relatively new to the game, if you play in wild, whether you play with manually or if you play it with a bot like Archmage, like I do, there's a 2,000 DEC a season fee. Okay, so I forget exactly why that was implemented. Most of the changes like that were implemented to keep certain people from abusing the system and large bot armies and stuff like that. So I have no problem with it. I've been continuing to play my have Archmage play my 2 accounts. One is just got my secondary account just has like extra cards. But this one plays in Diamond 1 to Champ. Lately it hasn't been doing very well at all in Champ. It'll get up into Champ 3 and then it'll be knocked back down. See, I'm in Diamond 1 right now. It gets up to Champ 3 and then gets knocked back down. So most of my live play is my guild brawls, which I've been doing silver level gold foils this time around with this set. So Joffrey says, how many hundreds of thousands of bots will enter Frontier in coming days? Did they specifically say no bots? Yes, I believe. Gathering backs that up, says yes, no bots allowed. Joffrey says you need neutrals. Yeah, I would agree. In fact, that's one of the things I bring up. I haven't done a new player kind of strategy guide lately because there's been so many changes put into the game. But I think it still bears worth repeating. The first priority in leveling up your deck as a new player are your icons. Archons, not icons. The second is neutrals generally are a little bit more expensive because there's more, you can play them more unless you hit like a no neutrals rule set, right? There's more situations where you can play. So look at neutrals first when you're selecting cards. If you can get a deal on some neutrals, then they're going to be better in a greater variety of situations. Obviously, dragons are more expensive, but they're also kind of more limited as well. So, and obviously, and then that leads to regular cards. But neutrals are usually a little bit more expensive because they can be used in more situations. Lady Sharon says, I'm actually stuck in bronze. Anyway, I may be misinterpreting the whole league thing. I thought it sounded like it would keep people from going up if they didn't have the good cards. The leagues would be dictated by what level your archons are. Okay, so level bronze is going to be limited to level 2 archons. Okay, it is possible that you could play and get out of bronze with a level 2 archon. Once you get into silver, the level cap would be level 4 archon, right? It is possible. It's not going to keep you from leveling into silver, but more than likely, if you have a level 2 archon with the corresponding levels of your other cards, you might get a little bit above that, and some players do. Some players played a little bit above what their cards were, because they were a good player or they were playing with a good bot or something like that in wild or whatever. It doesn't keep you capped down, but more than likely, when you go into silver and you start playing hands that have level 4 summoners and the corresponding level of cards, you're going to get knocked back down. So back in the day, I routinely played up a little bit, or Archmage played me up a little bit higher than what my cards would dictate, because it was, it played well. But yeah, you're not getting capped out, but you can decide, where you stay, right? So by the level of your archons. Now, what I liked about it was that it allowed me to gradually move up in the game. Okay, I didn't sit at bronze. I sat at bronze for the first, I don't know, I was probably playing in bronze for the first year I played the game, right? Because I needed level 2 summoners, and then all my other cards leveled up to that, right? To those ranks, right? And then I started leveling my my archons, previously called summoners, up to level 3. And I started getting into silver, right? And then I leveled them up to level 4 and the corresponding card. So I could slowly work my way up, you know. And for that matter, the change was not made for people like me, right? Because I was working my way up as time went along. The change was made, I believe, because there was a ton of bots that were sitting at a certain level with certain amounts of cards, certain level of cards, right? And a lot of those cards were earned free through the game, so they weren't necessarily paying for a lot of cards, right? So there was a lot of facts that went into that change. But what I'm saying is a lot of these changes over time have come about because something's been abused in the game. So I like the fact that I was able to get in and slowly level my cards up and slowly move up in different leagues. So Gathering says, tip, as you start, check the market frequently and sell your commons when they are 15 cents plus. Use that for archons. Once you get your first archon to 2, then get your neutrals to 2. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, it depends upon how you feel about it, but everybody should have like a different strategy that you feel safe with. These, like what he says, is a good solid strategy for people who've been buying and selling for a while, and to kind of, you know, make a little bit of profit here and use that to overall bypass getting to the point where it's later on in the set and all the prices have went down because there's a huge amount of liquidity, and then you're kicking yourself in the butt. Oh, I should have sold a few cards. We've all done that. Like I said, I'm guilty of not selling a lot of cards. I mean, we can go into my items and my card collection, and whatever they are, you know, you can see that I just have a ton of cards. I've been playing for, I don't know, 4 years now, whatever. And I'm not even a high level player. You know, I've just been playing along, doing what I could do, getting some rewards here and there, not selling a whole lot. There's the Joe Camel. But, you know, but I would agree. The time to take a little bit of profit is early in the set. Lady Sharon goes on to say, going the other way around and nerfing people's cards to fit the league, then that may work better. Yeah, well, like I said, it's not really nerfing, but your cards will be played at the max level that your summoner or your archon can play them. Okay, so like I said, you know, if the archon is level 2 and it can only play that card at level 3, then it doesn't matter if that card's if you have that card maxed out, your archon's still only going to play that at level 3. So Gathering says, don't bother with legendaries past level 1 because currently the archons can't be leveled up. So I leveled mine up just because they were cheap. I grabbed them because they were 5 cents a piece. I couldn't. I was just looking at what the cards were going for on the market, you know, because I knew we would be talking about this, and I just happened to spin through them, and you know, I was looking at, and I'm not saying these cards might be cheap because they're not very good cards, right? You can see a lot of these cards, like let's filter out the gold foils. 285, 21 bucks. So this must be a really good card. Look, it's got slow on it. I love cards with speed and slow. 2 damage, 7 health, 2 speed. It does take 9 to get out there though, but it's got slow. And almost 8 bucks. You know, 7 bucks, almost 13 bucks. And then I saw these cards at 5 and 6 cents. You guys have been playing. Why are these at 5 and 6 cents? Because nobody plays them. I just had to grab some of them though. Okay, let's see here. I'm floating around in chat here. Gathering says or asks, is everyone entering the daily pickle draw? I am not. I got my gold foil pickle and I'm happy with it. Although I was thinking about making some tickets and selling those on the market. But now that I think about it, I will probably save my aura for making land cards when those come out. I'll probably do a video on that because you know me and my land. I would love to have some cards to slap on them. Power Dash says, what are the conflicts and how to play them? So if you go into conflicts, it's not really a play. It's a chance to win an airdrop. So this dragon, Zrix the Emberglace, is the first card that will be drawn. You get a wagon. You have to buy a battle wagon, and then you have to stake Rebellion or Conclave Arcana packs, or your Conclave Arcana or Rebellion cards on them. And you get a certain amount of points for each card you stake on them right here, right? And then you can still use them for other, for general play and stuff, but they're staked on a battle wagon. And then over time, you accrue, like you can see, I'm accruing chances. And when this is, it looks like almost 5 days, almost 6 days. So in less than a week, this will come to a close, and the first conflict will come to a close. They will draw for Zrix the Emberglace, and you will see how many cards you win. So I'm hoping I win at least one of them. I get at least one mandatory guaranteed. So I'm hoping to get more than one. And then after that, depending upon, so say for instance, I got my one guaranteed. Say for instance, I got lucky and I got 2 of the dragons. Then 2 of my battle wagons would be damaged and I would need to pay to repair them. For me, I would just go ahead and create some battle wagon kits. Let's see here. What are they called? Go into other items. That's what these are. These wagon kits. These are to build new wagons or theoretically repair them. So people who are owning land and they are making things with their land, such as a fortune ticket, the midnight potion, the wagon kit, the auction mark, can make these wagon kits. And after the drawing, then it'll be a new card that's added to the set. And then once that airdrop is done, and people see whether they got their dragon or not, then that dragon is actually added to the set. So afterwards, whenever you open a pack, you can have the ability to get that dragon as well. So, but if you get a card, you will need to repair your wagon. So, trying to get my spot back in chat. Gathering says there probably won't be many entries for the Epic. Back on the pickle. It takes 10 tickets per entry, and the tickets are disappearing quickly. Yeah, that's what I thought about making some tickets, but I think I'm just going to hold my aura for making land cards. Lady Sharon says, at Gathering the Magic, every time I look, there seems to be a lot of tickets at under 60 cents. I've actually been waiting for the darn tickets to be used up so they could get to the ones that I'm selling. Wibble says, Blaze said the beaver would be the first mythic card. I think he was trolling us. Yeah. They haven't even talked about adding anything above legendary. Leandro's here. Welcome. Says, Frontier is crazy. I got over $100 in profit so far. Sweet. Crypto Beaver says, beavers are legendary by default. Well, it definitely sounds like it would be an Earth card, right? Lady Sharon says, I was going to put in a couple for pickles, but I have exactly 10 other tickets, and I wouldn't mind just a regular one of that special card, so I may use the tickets for that. And Wibble agrees with the beaver comment. A lot of beaver talk in this chat. Lady Sharon says, at Leandro, then you must be very good. I'm lucky if I manage to get one drawer a day. And other than the card I mentioned earlier, I don't have anything that would sell for a lot, but I may take Gathering the Magic tip. Gathering says the 2 5-cent legendaries are because they are the 2 we get for playing the campaign. Ah, well, that explains it. The other ones are only available by daily rewards. Okay, well, still like I still pick up some legendaries for 5 cents, right? Who knows? Down the road, you never know when a good combo comes in that you need that card. Not investment advice, but I picked me up about a dozen of each. And Leandro agrees with what Gathering just said about them being in the campaign mode. 2 water and 1 fire, and a bunch of epics and summoners. Oh, well. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for dropping by. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. I think that the game is going in a good direction. Looking forward to those new cards. Let's see here. Let's go to under shop. No. Did anybody buy Tasoshi? Or the second part of that question is anybody going to be in on the gold arcane fortune draw for Tasoshi? Gathering says, have you picked up any more land workers? I picked up a max gold foil rare and a few gold foil commons today. I did not buy any land workers this week. I did buy a couple last week, though. I've still got 1 land here in this region that needs to be staked out. It's just sitting there with nothing on it. The rest of them are doing pretty good. I was trying to make, you know what, I've been trying to, these lands that I have fully staked out with DEC, in other words, have the 50,000 on it. I've been trying to work with them more to get, you know, like this land has a rare totem on it. And then I need to, you know, it's got a beta on there, and it's got this other epic I put on there. I need to increase these more. I think my money is better spent increasing the levels of these since I have the rare totem here and it's fully staked out, versus taking that money and throwing it on a land that is not staked out and I don't have a rare totem on it. So for those of you who are just starting to play, the totems are another way that you can add increased production on your land. So you can go into other items and you can scroll down. You can see that rare totems going for $68, $65 to $68. And then you can throw that on a plot of land and get 25% bonus. Now, if you don't want to spend that, you could always buy a common totem, which they're cheaper. Let's see here, almost $14, and it gives you a 10% bonus across your land. So it's something else to think about. I think they are. I've got totems on most of my land. I only have a few rare totems due to cost, but I have common totems on most of my land just to kind of get that extra 10% bonus. But when you're looking at land and staking out the cards, you have to figure where's my money best spent at increasing the production power. And to me, if it is, if you've already got it fully staked out with 50,000 DEC in that region and you have a rare totem or better on that, you're better working and kind of work with that land. And then you can shift in a card with more production power, and then another card shifts out, and then you can put that card somewhere else. And that's what I've been doing. So Tails is here. Welcome, Tails. Joining a little late. How are you doing this weekend? Well, thanks for dropping by, Tails. Actually, you're dropping by at the bottom of the hour. We're getting ready to say goodbye, but I appreciate you stopping by. I'm doing pretty well. I've had Had an interesting week, having a little bit of a legal squabble with the lady next door. We got to get a tree trimmed, and she's worried about one of the limbs falling on her driveway and such. So we're going through that, and she decided to make it legal. So that's why I haven't been in game a lot this week. Tails goes on to say, have you touched on the topic discussion of a BTC-based reward share pool for modern ranked funded by current and future Conclave Arcana pack sales? I have not. Joffrey agrees that that would be amazing. I would have to look at the facts and information around it. Generally, I stay away from the whole crypto discussion as far as value. I would have to look at the facts before I made an opinion. Sounds interesting, though. Backed by Bitcoin instead of another coin. Gathering goes on to ask, would that Bitcoin be auto-staked like SPS is? It would be interesting. I want to look at the facts on that, or what's proposed, and give my opinion on that. I love Bitcoin. Who doesn't, right? It's the granddaddy, right? All of us old timers wish we had gotten in on that. I remember back in the day when Bitcoin first came out, and I was trying to decide whether I wanted to mine it, and I'm like, nah, I'm playing EverQuest with my graphics card. So hindsight is always 2020. Hey, Tails, if you get any facts on that, can you shoot me over a link in Discord or something or other? I would love to look at that. Either way, we are at the bottom of the hour, and I want to thank everybody for dropping by. I appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well. Stay hydrated, and if you can, stay out of the heat. Everybody have a great week, and I will see you in Splinterlands.